I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and came to California at the age of 18 to go to college, and I've been here ever since. I went to Stanford University for my undergraduate work, and then I attended UCLA as a graduate student. This is a sculpture I had made by a French sculptor, and it's a sculpture of John Lautner, the architect of the house. I studied in college at the beginning mathematics and physics, and decided I didn't want to be a scientist or an engineer, and so I gravitated to economics and finance. Here are my fish, and I had 2 turtles, one of which you see right here. After I finished graduate school at UCLA, I decided I wanted to stay in Los Angeles and went to work for a real estate investment firm. Eventually started making investments on my own, and these investments have turned out all right, and I've been able to really do what I wanted to do without worrying too much about working hard. I've been able to enjoy life, and so things have worked out pretty well. As far as basketball is concerned, I've been involved all of my life. I started playing basketball when I was 5 years old, after my parents put up a hoop in my driveway, and I loved the sport right from the beginning. I started attending NBA games when I was 10 years old, and at the age of 15, got a non-paying job as the statistician for the television announcer of the Milwaukee Hawks. Once I did that, I was totally hooked on the NBA, and I've remained so my entire life. From here, you get a vantage point of the design of the house in a better way than any other spot in the house. I had grown up as a big architectural fan of modern architecture and Frank Lloyd Wright style architecture. So my goal was to find a modern house with a view of the city and a swimming pool. That was my criteria. I'd looked for almost 2 years. I wasn't willing to settle for anything else. And finally, I found this house, which was not in good condition, but at the time, the minute I walked into the house, I knew it was the right one. Many changes and improvements to the house that I have implemented. In the living room, one can see the many little skylights that filter the sunshine into the living room, along with the custom-made built-in furniture of the living room. I had John Lautner design this dining table with only 2 supports for the table. And above the dining room table is a skylight that adds to the inside-outside continuity of the house. And now let's go to the den. I've made this room my principal room for watching NBA games. And over on this wall, you see an Ed Ruscha painting, which is a very important work of art. But when it's time to watch the NBA, my routine during a game day is really not that different from other days, except for the fact that instead of watching games on television until 10 o'clock at night, I watch games from 4 o'clock until about 5:30, and then take off for the Staples Center. I would never think of having a driver. I enjoy driving myself. I've had my tickets to the Lakers since 1962, when I first moved down here to enroll at UCLA. And I've had my tickets to the Clippers since 1984, when the Clippers moved to Los Angeles. So I've been a long-time follower of both teams. The heavy rush hour traffic going to the games is probably the least enjoyable experience of the whole process. I try to get there early for the pregame warm-up because that's my best opportunity to talk to the visiting team's players. I consider myself to be an NBA fan first and foremost. But when it comes to the games that I attend in LA, I consider myself a Clipper fan and an anti-Laker fan. And I've always been someone who roots for the underdog. The fact that everybody is a Lakers fan makes me want to go in the opposite direction. And I didn't grow up in LA, I grew up as a Hawks fan. So when I came to LA, I saw no reason to suddenly switch my allegiance. So right from the beginning, I wasn't a Lakers fan. And then the Lakers kept getting stars from other teams, and they had such an advantage over the rest of the league that I resented that. And that even hardened my position as being an anti-Lakers fan. It didn't stop me from being friends with the players or the coaches of the Lakers, because my emotional feeling only lasted as long as the game was being played. But nevertheless, I've always rooted for the Clippers and against the Lakers. All right, on to the master bedroom. So again, the same commanding view of the city that one experiences from the pool is available in my bedroom. During the 80s, the master bedroom underwent total reconstruction. Only the ceiling and the wall remain from what was here originally. This was previously several smaller rooms converted into one large room. And it was not easy. It took 4 years to rebuild this bedroom. Here are a few of my favorite jackets. And one of the few things in this room that was here originally are these windows into the pool. And here is my closet. These are some of the latest clothes from Saint Laurent, from Balmain, the ones that I'm currently wearing to the game. But if I want to look back at some of the clothes from previous years, I step on this button. I have so many great jackets from last fall and now this spring that it's not so easy to decide which ones to wear. Sort of at the last minute, I impulsively pick one of these jackets. People always ask me to put a name on my style, and I really don't have one. But I like to wear the latest style from the top designers in Paris and Milan. And each fashion season, I do extensive shopping and look for something that's new, unique, very special, and something that makes me look good at the same time. So I like slim-fitting pants, short jackets. I like to accessorize the latest jacket with a scarf, with my wide brim hat, with some nice boots. And I put it all together, and whatever ends up is my latest fashion statement. I try to be different from everybody else. Even at the age of, say, 13, I was looking for something special, something that was different from what my classmates were wearing. And then in my early 20s, I started visiting Paris, and that really made me aware of what was happening in fashion. And so ever since then, I've been really addicted to the latest fashion styles, and I've just kept accelerating my involvement with fashion. I think it's a fantastic development that NBA players are now getting so fashion conscious. It didn't used to be that way. First, they were just wearing custom-made baggy suits that had no special style to them. And then they started getting into the hip-hop craze of baggy t-shirts and baggy pants, which was really bad. The only thing that seemed to matter was jewelry, not clothes. And now finally it swung the other way, and clothes have become very important to the players. They're trying to establish their own identity with their clothes, just the way they establish their own identity on the court. And I think their interest in clothes has made me more of a popular figure for the players than it ever was before. In many cases, friendships have evolved because of our mutual interest in fashion. Now there's a number of other players that really rival in my eyes for being the best dressed. But I have to give the nod to PJ Tucker, because last year I was wearing a very expensive, unique jacket to an NBA playoff game that he was playing in. And he came up to me before the game and said, "Jim, I have the same jacket as you." And I couldn't believe that that was possible, because it was such a unique jacket. But I believed him, and from that point on, I paid a lot of attention to the way he was dressing, and I have to say, he's number one for me right now. I wore a special jacket to the Houston Clippers game, mainly to show it to PJ. And he really was excited by the jacket. And we had a discussion before the game of some of the latest styles, which I'm sure he will be seeing during the playoffs, because I plan on attending most of the Houston playoff games. During the playoffs, I try to see a game every single day. Even though at the beginning of each round, the home team has 2 home games, it would certainly be easier for me to just stay in that city. But the next day, I leave for another city, and then often the following day, I return to the first city. So I'm always traveling and not taking the easy way out. For the most part, I'm on my own during the playoff. I travel by myself because nobody could possibly keep up with me. I've been to thousands of games, so it's impossible to single out one game. But as far as recent years are concerned, the game that probably had the biggest emotional impact on me was Game 6 of the finals between San Antonio and Miami, when the championship trophy had already been wheeled down to give to the San Antonio Spurs. And then right in front of me, I was standing on the sideline as Ray Allen hit the memorable 3-point shot that stole the championship away from the Spurs. I was a big Spurs fan at the time and an anti-Miami Heat fan because of the way they had put their team together. And so I was really devastated when they lost that game. But afterwards, I spoke to Ray Allen, who was a friend of mine and still is, and told him, "Ray, I could have blocked your shot." And he said, "Yeah, Jimmy, I saw the photo, And I believe you. And then if you go out on the little terrace, which didn't exist originally, and you'll notice that there are two showers, one inside, one outside.
Which one do you use more?
In the summertime, outside. All right, so that does it for the master bedroom. Let's visit Club James. The club has been used now for about 4 years, and it's been a big success. I'm an avid tennis player. I've been playing tennis since I was a young boy, and it was always my dream to have my own tennis court. And about 4 years ago, it became a reality. After years of construction, this court was completed. It's become a very famous tennis court all over the world. Some of the top players, such as Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Maria Sharapova, they've all been here. Everybody loves the fact that it has this great view of the city, bounded by some glass that's barely visible. And everybody calls it the Infinity Tennis Court. So down below is my latest, which is the exterior segment of Club James. It will be a huge terrace capable of holding hundreds of people for dinner parties and the like, with a long lap pool, extensive dining facilities. Very excited about the future of that latest project. On a clear day, even though I've lived in my house for over 40 years, the view of the city and the ocean is still very exciting to me.